In this video, we're going to look at prompt engineering, but instead of looking at LLMs, which is what we did last time, we're going to look at diffusion models or text-to-image models, essentially. So again, just like last time, this is an iterative process, and at the very end of this video, I'll actually go through my iterative process for one of these text-to-image models. So again, I think a lot of this is about taking notes and making sure that you capture what works for you and what doesn't. And then you can use these skeletons of what you find works or doesn't for future image generation as well. A really important thing here is I would say even more so than, say, using LLMs, different models will require different kind of prompt engineering. Mid-journey prompts won't always work for Stable Diffusion. DALL-E prompts won't always work the same in Mid-Journey. The basic concepts will. So the idea of making sure that you're using clear language, ordering stuff in the right order is correct, but you may need tweaks, especially as we get to like sort of using artist names. So for example, DALL-E 3 won't even let you use artist names, whereas Midjourney and Stable Diffusion might take different artist names and give different sort of priority to them. So you'll need to sort of play with this depending on whatever model you're actually going to use. All right, so let's start off with just like a really basic one, which is that you always want to describe what's visually in the scene and not a concept. So my basic example is always like, if you say show a fork in the road, it will probably give you a fork or a utensil in a road. This has been sort of my classic example for a couple years now. Again, this is mini diffusion, I think, back in the day. This is quite old now, 2022. And if you put a fork in the road, you in fact get a little fork in the road. Now, I decided to check on sort of modern versions if this was still true, and lo and behold, it's not. So if you ask for a fork in the road on Midjourney, which is on the left, you will in fact get a fork in the road, kind of. I mean, that's like more like a figure 8 in the road, I guess, but it is forked, I guess. And then on the right-hand side is DALL-E 3, and you do in fact get a split in the road. So maybe I have to find a better example, but conceptually, I think my point still stands, which is that like don't use concepts, use literal like ideas of what you're trying to do. So say what is in the scene, describe the scene as clearly as possible, and you'll get sort of the best results there. This comes directly from Midjourney, so if you want to go in there and take a look at how they recommend stuff, they always recommend listing a handful of these items in your prompt. So subject, which is like, what is it? Is it a person? Is it a location? Is it an object? Medium, so talking about if it's a painting or the style of artwork you're trying to generate. The environment, so the place. So is it a dog in a park? Is it I don't know, a cowboy on the moon? Those sort of things. Lighting, so especially if you're doing like more photographic kind of stuff, you definitely want to talk about lighting. Colors are very important. You can kind of get away with certain things just based on sort of whatever the prompt is, or if you're obviously referencing certain artists, like the colors will kind of come from that. Mood, and then composition. So again, these are sort of the basic building blocks that I would recommend anyone, as you're building out a prompt, think about these things, because you might have an idea for just a concept, but then you want to add in some more compositional elements as well. So here's some examples of this in action. We're going to start with a dog riding a dolphin. And when you just put in that prompt, you get something pretty photographic looking. Now, it may be like, I don't know, some old 70s, 80s desaturated look. It might be really old sepia tone. And then, I don't know, this almost has like a photorealistic painting looking. But it has this look to it. And this is what I would kind of describe as like the default Midjourney look. And I should also mention Midjourney does a really good job, like pretty much any prompt you put in. Like if you use other tools like Stable Diffusion or something, if you put in a prompt like this, you might get a lot of garbage. But Midjourney is kind of built in a way that it always has a good output. Kind of frustratingly, actually. Let's take a look at the next example, which is a dog riding a dolphin, and then we're adding oil painting. And you'll see here you get something a little bit more cutesy, definitely less photographic. This one still has sort of that, I don't know, like hyper-realist kind of look. These other ones are quite paint smattery. Lots of, big chunks of paint, that sort of thing. So we're starting to get a little bit more style here just by adding the concept of oil painting. Here's one where we start to add in colors. We start to give it like a little bit of a style tune where we say, vibrant colors. So all of a sudden our paints are really bright. 80s aesthetic. So of course all the dogs wear sunglasses or whatever. and our colors are a little bit more, sort of the LA 80s Olympics kind of colors. And then lastly, let's take a look at what happens when we actually add some additional things like cute rainbows or sunset. So we want the time of day. And you'll see our colors get a lot warmer. We do have some rainbows appearing now. So this is kind of a case of where you can build up some prompts, try some things, maybe remove some ideas, come back to it, that sort of thing. All right, next prompt tip is word order. So order is really, really important. I would say far more so than in LLMs. In LLMs, you can kind of get away with, like, as long as your basic stuff is at the beginning and then you've got a bunch of other items, that sort of that context window that we work with the LLMs tends to reduce a little bit of the importance of order. But in text prompts, like, it's very, very important that you think about this as order of operations, essentially. The most important words go at the beginning of your prompt. So pretty much you should always put the object or the subject in your initial words. That's going to give you, the best usage of those things. So if you are looking for a dog, make sure dog is like one of the first couple words. Usually like the first 3 to 5 words have the most importance. After that, it's a little bit of a free-for-all. I've seen some people say that, it goes beginning, end, middle. Others believe it's beginning, middle, end. But the reality is beginning is the most important, and that's where you really want to make sure that you're putting your prompts or the subject or the main idea of your prompt in the beginning of your sentence. Okay, these are going to be a little bit more subtle, but let's take a look at what happens when we move our words around a little bit. So I'm going to use the prompt a dog riding a dolphin, Lisa Frank, cute rainbows. And I'm also going to use seeds. We haven't talked about seeds. It's okay. Seeds just allow the images to stay as close to each other as possible as I iterate on my prompt. So this is our default here where we start with a dog riding a dolphin. You'll see all the images are quite good compositionally, right? We have a dog riding a dolphin. It all looks pretty good. When I switch it to Lisa Frank as the first thing, and then cute rainbows, and then a dog riding a dolphin, you do get differences. And I admit this is subtle, and this is probably partly due to Midjourney just being Midjourney and always producing good images. But when we compare the two side by side, so here's our first prompt where we led with a dog riding a dolphin, and then here's our other prompt where we led with Lisa Frank, you will see differences here, right? This image actually, surprisingly, of all of them looks the most similar, and I would say actually this one looks worse because we've got sort of a fourth leg or a fifth leg creeping in here. But if you look at this one in particular, look at this one. So this one, it's clearly a dog with a dolphin tail, which means it's really prioritizing the rest of the imagery in this, like rainbow or Lisa Frank, over the dog versus dolphin. And that's kind of maybe how I could see the difference here of, like, a little bit being better than the other. Similarly, this one isn't as good compositionally between those two elements. So again, not the strongest, but I could make an argument that I definitely see other things being prioritized inside of this prompt than a dog riding a dolphin. And lastly, here is one where we emphasize cute rainbows, then Lisa Frank, then a dog riding a dolphin. And here again, you can see the compositions here are very, very far off. There's less dolphin in this one. You even just say, like, that's part of it, right? Is it's de-emphasizing the dogs and the dolphins here to emphasize stuff like rainbows. The rainbows are a little bit stronger in this image, certainly in these two as well. And Lisa Frank, I mean, I don't think it really has that much of a Lisa Frank style, but it is emphasizing sort of those Lisa Frank colors over the dog and the dolphin. Whereas before, we had a dog and a dolphin very centrally isolated in the composition. They were prioritized. All right, let's talk negative prompts. So negative prompts are kind of the idea of the opposite of our text prompt. So our text prompt is sort of what we want to see in the image. A negative prompt will be what we don't want to see in the image. And there's been a lot of debate over the past couple years on exactly how negative prompts work or how the right way to write them. There are lots of, if you Google negative prompts, you'll see lots of people who jam 100 words into their negative prompt. Stuff like ugly, deformed, legless, armless, 7 fingers, all this sort of stuff. And I've sort of seen now in the past 6 months, we've kind of realized that isn't as useful as it sounds. There's a lot of reasons for why that is, but in general, it's less important that you jam pack a bunch of stuff in your negative prompt than it is writing a good positive prompt. My preference is actually I start with a handful of generated images, maybe using different seeds without a negative prompt, and then I use a negative prompt to try to clean up the image. Let me show you some examples of where that works and where it doesn't. So first, I think we'll look at an example where this doesn't work. So here I've got my, dog riding a dolphin, Lisa Frank, cute rainbows. And let's say I really like this, but what I want to do is I want to remove like the clouds. For whatever reason, I don't want clouds in this image. So in Midjourney, the way to say no or to remove something or use a negative prompt is to do -- no and then fill in your prompt. So in this case, I said no clouds. Now you'll see here I still get clouds. They're far less sort of dominant in the image, but the other downside here is now I get kids, I get flying dolphins. I think some of these might even have, like, there's a signature in one of these. So now I kind of have the problem of where other stuff is starting to appear in this. And this tends to happen a lot, I find, with negative prompts. So now I'm going to go in and like remove all the kids I see, all the cats I see, all the signatures I see. And you'll see like there's even less clouds, especially in that first and last image. And I guess now compositionally it's a little bit better with some dogs in there. Like I'd say that top right one's not bad. Still lots of clouds there, but I'm getting closer. Now I can also add into my positive prompt that I want a clear sky, right? Like this is where it's actually better if you just write a strong and clear positive prompt than it is to include a negative prompt. Now the downside here is because of this, I am now far, far away from that very first image, right? I am far, far away from this image. And this is kind of the downside of doing negative prompting, is it actually affects the image quite a lot. And maybe a better solution would be to use in-painting, that sort of thing. But you can see that we are able to remove a lot of the clouds by asking for a clear sky day, but our images are quite different now at this point. Okay, and here's an example of one that works a little bit better. So my prompt here is a collection of animals snuggling in a pile, cute, cuddly, kawaii, plushy. And, if you look in this image, you see a lot of that. But I kind of noticed that there's some cat-like looking animals in here. Maybe for whatever reason, I don't want cats in this one. So what I can do then is I can add -- no and then cats. And you might not be able to tell between these two, so I put them side by side. But you'll see here that in this image, here is something that looks like a cat, and there are nothing that really looks like a cat in this image, right? We're moving to more birds, maybe some bears, maybe things with taller and weirder ears, other animals here. Like this whole thing kind of has a lot of cats, and now it's not a lot less cats. Now you'll also notice these images are quite different, right? I didn't really give it enough stylistic direction in terms of like watercolor or anything. So I am getting quite different images between these, and these are the same seed, I should say, as well. So there is some change when you use negative prompting, and that does happen quite frequently, and there's really no way to work around that. You again have to play with these things and kind of try to edit your images, and maybe this is a case where you just want to generate more images, so you can always sort of get a stylistic thing you are looking for, or maybe you just need to change your prompt to include those styles, that sort of thing. Okay, now let's talk about prompt weighting. Many tools support prompt weighting, and prompt weighting essentially is the idea that, let's say there's a couple words in your prompt that you want to be really, really dominant, right? And this is even different from order or from other things, or maybe you want to reduce the strength of certain words in your prompt. This is where we would bring in weighting. Now, the one thing I'll say about weighting is the syntax for it, or the way in which you do it, changes quite a lot depending on what tool you're using, what model you're using, all this other stuff. So this is a case where you might want to Google, whatever tool you're using plus prompt weighting and see how you do it correctly in there. In some cases, they don't even let you do that. Like DALL-E 3, which is run through ChatGPT 4, doesn't support prompt weighting. You just kind of have to play with your words enough to sort of make that happen. In Midjourney, we do what's called these double colons. And what these double colons actually mean is they actually break your sentence into smaller chunks, and then it operates on each small chunk one by one. One of the challenges you'll hear people say is that if I said I want no dogs in my positive prompt, you actually end up with a lot of dogs, and that's because the way these text prompts work is they actually kind of break apart at every word. So if you have something like no dogs, it actually reads it as no, comma, dogs, and you end up with dogs. So this is actually a way to sort of break up your prompt into more readable chunks by the interpreter, and then you can do stuff like weighting. So what you do is you'll do double colon between each section, and then if you put a number behind this, this will mean that the cute rainbows part is about 3 times as strong as all the other parts. So it's like 3, 1, 1. You can also use decimal points, so you could do 1.5. You could also do negative. Negative is actually the basically removal of a thing, so it's almost like a negative prompt. You can weight stuff in that way. In fact, the dash dash no command in Midjourney actually operates more as a weighting where you do negative 0.5. So you could do -2, and that would like really drastically pull it out and would probably dramatically affect your image. So here's an example of me where I want to emphasize the cute rainbows. Now you'll see immediately just by strengthening this to like a 3, we actually lose our dog and most of our dolphins in some of these cases. And we tend to end up with a lot of unicorns, I found. Now, I could make this 1.2, and that might emphasize the cute rainbow just slightly more and not remove a dog riding a dolphin. I want to make these maximal just so we can see how big the changes are, but just know that you could mess with this weight a little bit and hopefully it wouldn't destroy your image as much. Here's what happens when we make a dog really, really powerful. So a dog 10 means you end up with like basically a dogs and wolves as like a portrait. So again, this is Midjourney. It'll be different if you're using another tool. Also, the number scale might be different depending on what tool you use. I kind of want to say Auto 1111 when back in the day when I used it was like a 2.0, 2.5 scale. If you cranked any higher than that, you would just get kind of noise. It'd kind of crush your image. So you can kind of see that. Now you could also put in, here's an example of Lisa Frank. So when I make Lisa Frank, now remember, this actually says a dog riding a dolphin, Lisa Frank, weight of 2, and then cute rainbows. So this is actually supposed to reduce the amount of cute rainbows. I don't think it actually does, but that's probably because of the Lisa Frank part more than this whole prompt. You can also combine or create different weights for this. So in this case, I'm saying a dog, which has a weight of 10, riding a dolphin, which has a weight of 100, Lisa Frank, which has a weight of 200, and Cute Rainbows, which has a weight of 100. Now you'll see there's no dog, there's no dolphin. I, in fact, just get a lot of unicorns and a lot of rainbow colors. And that's probably because of the Lisa Frank as well as Cute Rainbow prompt. But you'll see here that this is using the exact same prompt. We're just weighting things differently. And even though my words here are in the beginning, it still is taking over more of the second half here because of this weighting priority. Okay, now we'll look at some other tools that exist sort of outside of these ecosystems, so outside of Midjourney, outside of Comfy, these other things, and just look at some options or opportunities and references that we can use to get it better at prompting. So first is like a model reference site. There are a lot of sites out there these days that like sort of give you a lot of example images. You can look at prompts, and then you can look at what the images produce, and you can look at it based on Stable Diffusion 1.5, Stable Diffusion 2, Midjourney or other tools. And often the best way to find them is to just type into Google like the model you're using or the tool you're using and then keyword reference, and then you'll find examples of that. Or cheat sheet. You can try a couple different things here. So it could be model cheat sheet or model keyword reference to find examples. These are a couple famous early ones that have existed. Remy Durant made one that is called Artist Studies. I think these were probably made, using, this is even before Stable Diffusion, or maybe these are Stable Diffusion 1.5. There's another one from Kingdom Acrylic. These are all on like older models, but a lot of these new ones sort of have similar ideas or similar concepts, and often they're a grid of images with the image and the prompt underneath it, and you can sort of look at them and get a sense of what the model reacts to. So say you really like the certain look of 8K 3D here, and you want to add that to your prompt to get that sort of look and feel to it. So there's a lot of these out here, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can definitely find them by just Googling and finding different ones based on the tool you're using. For example, here's Stable Diffusion 1.5 cheat sheet. Here's a Midjourney one. And all these do more or less the same thing. We open up the Midjourney one. You can see that there are a ton of images in here. So if you just go in and go to images, you can look at Midjourney V5 in this case. I guess they haven't really updated this to the newest one. You can look at styles, and you'll just see there's a bunch of different images here. And they all have different sort of concepts with them. So again, you can sort of find these for yourself. Here's another one for Stable Diffusion 1.5. Cheat sheet, keyword reference tends to be the Google keywords you want to look for. There are also these tools that allow you to build your own prompts, and this sort of goes through the steps that we talked about earlier in this video, and allow you to sort of say like, okay, this is the object I want, this is the subject I want these styles, these sort of things. We can look at one of these. Again, there are many of these. You can try the prompt builder here. You sort of pick what tool you're using, say Midjourney, and then you can even add an image, and that will append to the Midjourney tool, do sort of an image thing. You'll see then it goes through the steps. Okay, what are the base things you want? Do you want a landscape, or do you want some other things? And then you begin to add details. So adding styles, adding Midjourney parameters, adding prompt sizes. So this is like, these are really nice tools if you know you're going to use Midjourney and you want to slowly build up your prompt. These are great examples of this. And I'm not spending a ton of time here just because I could probably do a 15-minute video on just one of these tools. But just know a lot of these tools are out there and you can use them if you're really interested in that. You can also have AI write your own prompt. This is obviously as we get to the more ChatGPT world, Claudes. Lots of people are building like sort of custom GPTs that sit on top of something like ChatGPT. So for example, I know this one, Magic Prompt, is a tool that allows you to put in sort of what you want, and then it adds a bunch of other stuff into it. So let's say a dog riding a dolphin. And that's a pretty basic prompt. We want to start there, but then we want to add additional features of that idea here. And you can see, this is going to take a couple seconds here. What it will do is it will sort of expand your prompt to include other concepts or other ideas. So this is giving you actually give you 4 examples here. So you can kind of see a dog riding a dolphin in Alcatraz. That'd be a weird one. Masterpiece digital painting by, there's Greg again. So you can kind of see that it's basically just sort of jamming in a bunch of other keywords. But this might be worth trying. Maybe you want to try each one of these prompts individually and see if you get good results out of them. These are often trained on a data set based on, people who've created their own prompts or that sort of thing. So they should be somewhat relative. This one's meant for Stable Diffusion. I've seen other ones that are meant for Midjourney. It should give you something closely approximating what you might need for those tools. But there are a bunch of these. I think one of these is built into ChatGPT as well. So if you like ChatGPT, you might find that tool pretty helpful. Sometimes you end up with really long prompts. Like that last one generated like a lot of keyword buzz. And I've seen ChatGPT even generate prompts that are like 3 or 4 paragraphs long. And that actually gets too long. Like there's a certain context window for each of these tools where if you add too many words, it starts to ignore things, or it just kind of becomes soup and it doesn't really work that well. Midjourney actually has a tool that is called Shorten. And what Shorten does is you give it a long prompt and it sort of picks out the words and phrases that it thinks are most important for the model, sort of almost reverse engineers it, and then tells you like, hey, I really think like you should use these couple words. Midjourney is slowly moving toward this like sort of prompt system where it wants less words and phrases, but those words and phrases have a lot of power. So what Shorten can help you do is actually sort of like start with a long phrase or a really long paragraph and then cut it down to just the most important words. So let's take a look at that right now. All right, so here I am in Discord talking to my Midjourney bot, and we'll look at the shorten command now. So we're just going to type in /shorten, and then it's going to ask us for a prompt, and we're going to paste in. This is a prompt I grabbed from ChatGPT from a while ago. I had ChatGPT make me, some dog riding a dolphin during a sunset prompt. So I'm going to paste in the entire thing. You'll see it's really long, and that's probably too long for most text-to-image models. So when I hit return, what it gives me is it shows me sort of what it thinks are the most important phrases. They're bolded here, and then it shows me what I should remove. So that's a little crossed out. And then it gives me a couple options. It gives me 5 options of what I should be generating. Now, I can sort of see already that my prompt was kind of weird because it said, I'm seeking to generate an exceptional image of a dog. I'm going to change this. So I'm actually going to remove that. So let me try this again. So /shorten. And then I'll just remove, let's remove all this part. So a dog riding a dolphin during a sunset, and then the rest of it. And that's going to give me a better prompt because it's not, I don't really care about the I'm seeking to generate stuff. That doesn't really work for Midjourney. So now it's telling me, here are a couple different options. And what's cool about Midjourney, and again, this is really just a Midjourney focused feature. What you can do here is you can then just hit one of the buttons and it's going to generate it. So I'll just go through and have it generate each one of them. Then we can look and see how they do. And while this is a Midjourney specific feature, I could certainly see using Claude or ChatGPT to actually also ask for a more condensed version of a prompt. So maybe you have those tools build a long version of a prompt. You try it out. You say it's kind of messy. Then you could actually have it go back and give you sort of the essence, or give it a shortened version of that, to try to focus on just that. What I like about the Midjourney tool is I would assume this tool is meant to work specifically with how Midjourney prompts. And therefore you're going to get a better response based on that. So here we're starting to see some of our images. So for example, this first one, you can kind of see it really isn't giving me a dog and a dolphin. And maybe that's because this really focuses on dogs. It looks like in a couple places, or it says dog and dolphin in many places, and maybe that just means it gets kind of messy. Maybe it's a seeding value issue, that sort of thing. This one also gives me, I guess one of these is okay. It looks like a human riding a dog riding a dolphin. So not perfect. This one looks pretty good. I would say 3 out of the 4 images look like a dog riding a dolphin, which is great. And it's giving me a breathtaking sunset. So again, this is going to give us a little bit of a better result. This one also looks kind of good. You'll see, almost seems like the shorter ones are working better. Maybe not in every instance, but certainly in some instances. So this is a great example of how using tools that already exist within something like Midjourney can allow you to get better results by helping focus your prompt. So Midjourney also has another really cool tool called /describe, and this kind of almost is the inverse of shorten, not exactly, but basically what you do is you feed the Midjourney bot a image, and then what the Midjourney bot is able to do is it'll tell you what it thinks your prompt should be. And this is a really amazing tool. I highly recommend this because what it does is it tells you what Midjourney's sort of verbal language is. One of the big challenges with a lot of these tools is that, we can't speak machine, and we certainly can't speak machine for every different model. So this is kind of a nice way to invert that by saying, hey, here's an image, tell me how you would describe it. So we'll take a look at this in just a second, but it generates 4 options again, and you can generate those and see if it actually follows along with your prompt. All right, we're back inside of Midjourney again, so we're going to use the describe feature this time. So we'll type in /describe, and then you'll see you have the option of either an image or a link. So I'm going to upload an image. Let's just grab an image here. This one looks good. And then we'll hit return. And it tells us the bot is thinking, which is always a funny metaphor. And you'll see here that it generates a bunch of different outputs. So some are quite short and some are quite long. And you can even refresh it and get different ones. The thing I like about this feature is also this imagine all buttons. When you press this, it's just going to generate one of each of your prompts. It also grabs the aspect ratio of your film or of your input and tries to output the exact same size. I don't love that feature because I might want to change my sizes, but anyway, that's how it works. So this will now generate an image based on each one of these. And we'll see they're probably quite different. But I think you can also then sort of see like, oh, is the longer prompt working better for me? Is the shorter prompt working better for me? I could also see that you could even take these prompts and put them into Stable Diffusion or something else, because it seems like they're fairly, minus the aspect ratio thing, it seems like they're fairly, agnostic in terms of tooling. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they really do work best for Midjourney. But you'll see here we're getting some interesting images. They certainly don't have that like grain look of that 70s image. Some of these look very futuristic, which is kind of funny. But you could also go in and sort of say like, oh, well, I like this prompt, but maybe I remove something in a different way. Like, I don't know, maybe I emphasize retro or something else. So this is a great tool to use. I've actually talked to a lot of people who don't know this exists in Midjourney, and it's like, this is the reason why I would want to use Midjourney, is because they already have a prompting tool that will help me generate good prompts. Cool, so now I've generated one of these. I could go back and like refresh them or update them or do whatever I want to do. But you can see that this is already getting closer to what this image is and allows me to sort of figure out what wording I need to use. So while /describe is a Midjourney focused feature, there are other tools out there that will allow you to do this as well. So my favorite one, or one I've used a lot, is Clip Interrogator. If you click on this link, it'll open to our replicate page where you can play with this. So what you'll do down here is we're going to upload an image. So let me just find one real quick. see, we can probably use this image. So we'll use this image. And then because this is Stable Diffusion, we have the option of what model we want to work with. So you'll see here, use VITL for Stable Diffusion 1, VITH for Stable Diffusion 2, and VIT Big G for Stable Diffusion XL. Let's just do the H for Stable Diffusion 2. And then you've got options here to work with either fast or your best. I'm just going to do fast just because we're running this really quickly. So we'll go ahead and hit run. And we'll see as we get an output of a close-up of clocks with lots of dots on it, particle, the God particle, quantum particle physics, etc., etc. So we can now take this prompt and add it to our Stable Diffusion 2 model, and then we should get an output from there. So there's a really cool way to, again, sort of speak machine language as we begin to build things out. So again, this is just one of many tools. There are a couple others out there. A thing that I've seen a lot of people doing recently is they'll upload an image to ChatGPT or Claude or some other LLM and ask them to describe what they see in it. That's less, that's not going to work as well as this, which is meant really for Stable Diffusion. But if you're looking for just a general sort of way to describe something, it might be helpful. Like I find, especially with abstract images, it's helpful to have the machine describe it in some way so you can then feed that back into a text-to-image model. Okay, we did a lot in this video. It's probably gonna end up being quite long, but I appreciate you sort of hanging with me. I hope you found some cool ways to think about prompt engineering, and I hope you found some cool things to think about for just using other tools to help you sort of understand and speak machine, which is the biggest challenge with prompt engineering. It's like my least favorite part of it is trying to guess the right word that does this thing in the right tool. So hopefully this helps out a little bit. And yeah, this is a really fun video to produce. If you have questions, just leave a comment in the chat, or we'll see you next time when we do more videos like this.